I never imagined that a simple visit to my mother's house could change my family's life forever. The house seemed smaller than I remembered, filled with the scent of coffee and cake, but also the old, polished wood smell I knew so well. I sat in the living room, trying to hide my growing anxiety, while my son, Gabriel, quietly played with his toy cars on the rug. My mother watched me with that critical look, the one that measures every word, every gesture. I tried to stay calm, but I felt the weight of her unspoken judgments about my life. "So, you're thinking of celebrating the boy's birthday here, aren't you?" she asked, her voice firm, almost frightening. I hesitated. "Yes, Mother." I was thinking of a small gathering, just close family and his best friends. Before I could finish, she shook her head. "No, that won't work. You know how my other grandchildren feel when they're not the center of attention. I don't want anyone to be sad. Understand?" I froze. Her words, spoken so casually, felt like a verdict. It was as if my own mother had decided my son's right to feel special on his day didn't matter. Gabriel, unaware of the tension, looked up, his curious gaze catching my heavy silence. I tried to reason with her, explaining it would just be a small party, but it was useless. My mother was determined. We left that evening with heavy hearts. On the way home, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw Gabriel holding his toy car, not understanding the sadness in the air. I felt a mix of anger and disappointment. How could my own mother impose such limits on my child's joy? The silence in the car was heavy, but a decision was forming inside me. If my son couldn't be happy there, we would find a place where he could smile without restrictions. When we got home, my heart pounding but my mind clear, I told my husband everything. We needed to step away from what was holding us back. We needed to show Gabriel that he deserved celebrations, joy, and the freedom to be happy. That night, a silent determination took hold. We would pack our bags, not on impulse, but out of a deep love. A love that gave us the courage to start over and protect our son's innocence. The journey to find a new home felt long, but every mile brought relief and anticipation. Gabriel slept in the back seat, and I watched him, imagining a life where no one would deny him happiness. My husband held my hand, and in that silent gesture, I felt a strength that united us more than any blood tie ever could. We arrived in a small town with brick houses and quiet streets. We found a simple, cozy house for rent. The walls were light, the floors polished, and the kitchen had a comforting scent, as if it held happy memories. When Gabriel woke up, he ran to explore every corner, his laughter echoing like music. For the first time in a long time, I felt truly free. Free to create memories without anyone trying to diminish them. As we unpacked, I saw Gabriel marveling at the simple freedom of it all. The curtains swaying in the breeze, the birds at the window, the joy of running in the yard without being scolded. I looked at my husband and smiled. I knew we had made the right choice. Our life here would be simple, but full of genuine moments. That first night, after putting Gabriel to bed, we sat in the living room, exhausted but at peace. The soft lamplight illuminated the corners of our new home, and I felt a calm I hadn't known in years. There were no impositions, no comparisons, just the certainty that we were together, and that no one could interfere with our son's happiness. The next year flew by, and each day in our new home confirmed we'd done the right thing. Gabriel was growing up happy, discovering simple joys that had once been denied. His laughter was free and contagious. I watched him playing in the yard, running among the flowers, and felt a quiet pride, not just in him, but in us, for having the courage to rebuild. Then, on his 10th birthday, I decided he would have a party. Not an extravagant one, but one filled with affection, his favorite friends, homemade cake, and games in our yard. As I hung decorations, My heart raced with anticipation, knowing we were about to prove that his happiness couldn't be controlled by others. Gabriel ran around, his eyes sparkling, thrilled by every detail. It wasn't long before news of the party reached my mother and brother. They arrived at the gate, surprised, with looks of disbelief. My mother tried to hide it, but my brother couldn't conceal his jealousy. "You shouldn't have... It wasn't supposed to be like this," he said, his voice heavy with resentment. I took a deep breath, held my son's hand, and replied firmly, "Gabriel deserves to be happy, and we will make sure he is, without anyone telling us how to celebrate his joy." My brother was speechless. Then, slowly, Gabriel's laughter spread through the yard as he called his friends, sharing hugs and ice cream, living the childhood he had always deserved. It was impossible to ignore his happiness, and that image seemed to dissolve any attempt to impose jealousy or rivalry. When the party ended, Gabriel fell asleep in my arms, exhausted and happy. I looked at him and felt a profound peace. Our love and freedom were invincible. In the months that followed, our life shone in a way I never thought possible. My mother and brother still tried to offer subtle criticisms, but it was as if we were protected by an invisible bubble. Gabriel was safe, happy, and nothing could dim the light in his eyes. One day, I noticed my brother watching from the sidewalk. His gaze was different, not cruel jealousy, but a mixture of surprise and maybe regret. He saw that Gabriel's happiness wasn't something to be controlled. My mother, always so strict, began to see that life could be lighter when favoritism stopped guiding her actions. Over time, their visits became more sincere. They came to share happy moments, not to impose rules. Gabriel, with his innocent joy, won everyone over. It was wonderful to see him receiving affection from all sides, without it threatening the life we had so carefully built. In that home, built with courage and love, I finally understood. My son grew up secure and smiling, and our family found harmony. I smiled to myself, looking at the walls filled with happy memories, knowing we had triumphed simply by believing that every child deserves to celebrate their own joy. Thank you so much for watching and sharing this journey with us. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next video.